What's up, y'all? Psychic trauma here. Hashtag in the stream. About to do a competency eval. It says Wednesday, May 10th, 5 to 7, Mountain Standard Time. Hmm. Alrighty, it's 4:59. My soda fell. Let me go grab some water. Oh, it fell and it bounced. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Hey, I'm doing all right. How are you?
Doing all right? Long time no see.
Yeah. No, it's been a minute for sure.
Yep.
It's never, I'm not exactly someone who's fun to have to meet with a bunch, but I appreciate you meeting with me. Seriously.
It happens. I got to do it. I wasn't expecting to
Yeah.
meeting you until I was done with the classes.
Well, I mean, some of it's just sort of the court has a lot of timelines, where they just expect to have updates and stuff. So they just kind of determined that. So they pretty much just tell me like, hey, we told Kenneth Wheeler he needs to do the classes and stuff, so we want you to check in with him in May. And I said, understood. So yeah, it pretty much is the idea. I want to ask you like, about how the class has been going, how all that stuff's been, your understanding of why the court even wanted you to do that crap.
Yes.
So yeah, I guess we can just kind of jump into it there. I mean, how have the classes been going?
Good. I've been doing them. Just going through all the modules step by step, twice a week. Monday and Wednesday in the morning. What do you call that? I'm looking for a job. I just had a job, and basically, I lost it. It ran out. I was supposed to keep going. It didn't happen. I was working for a canvassing company, and I was basically an independent contractor. I was supposed to start with phone banking, basically saying calling people for whatever issue that they want me to call for. And then that fell through, and that was supposed to last all summer. And then I started passing out flyers. And I did that for a couple weeks. Then that just ended. I'm trying to get back on that. I contacted some people, still looking for work, passing out flyers. I'm hoping I can pass out flyers starting hopefully tomorrow or the end of this week, at the very latest next week, and do that for the next 2 or 3 weeks till the election.
Yeah.
My court date is the 18th, which is 8 days, I believe. And then, or the 16th, I'm not exactly sure. I have it in my calendar.
Yeah.
And then just go from there. I'm expecting probably another continuance, considering I haven't completed the competency classes, restoration classes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. That makes sense with that. Um, what so has anything been going on with your legal case then?
Just waiting it out.
Okay. Would you mind helping me? I mean, I got my notes from last time and such, but like, what exactly is your legal situation? It's a menacing case, right? Like
Yeah, it's
that's
a
the
class
charge.
5 felony, felony menacing. Um, yeah, so that's basically it. And that's it. I think it's a bullshit charge. It was a setup. People attacked me, and they're just trying to sweep everything else under the rug to make me look dirty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I'm remembering this now. Like, who was the? I mean, where's the setup coming from? Like, do you mean the police or like someone else?
Both. I mean,
Both.
the pig who arrested me told the people to attack me, encouraged them, and told them what was up. And then
Okay.
he walked off, and then when the people were attacking me, he was basically telling them to. He knew I had a pocket knife, and he's like, "Yeah, just keep attacking him until he hit him, and spit on him, until he whips his pocket knife out, and I'll arrest him." And so he walked
Okay.
off, and then the people came up and talking shit, and they flashed their gun at me. And then the
Yeah.
cop heard there was a scuffle. Then the cop runs up and sees that I don't have a weapon on or my knife out of my
Mm-hmm.
pocket. And then he's like, "Oh, okay, whatever." He does that a couple of times. And then after
Mm-hmm.
constantly being attacked, that's when I decided to grab my what do you call that? My pocket knife. And that's when he just showed up again. It was a
Yeah.
setup.
Yeah. How do you? And okay, I should probably reframe it. I wasn't there. Like I know not to believe you. This question is just because of the evaluation, how it works. How do you know that's what the cop was doing? Like, did you witness him, or like
Yeah,
what was?
I was there the whole time. I was live streaming.
Oh, okay. So you kind of saw the cop go and tell these people to
Yeah,
start messing with you, and they started messing with you.
it was
Okay.
only barely 10 feet away from me.
Okay. And as far as you know, why did this cop do this?
They don't like me. I'm constantly an activist against the police.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, and plus they were saying that they weren't liking me because I'm blue eyed. So, because I'm blue eyed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that last time as well. That like you were really being kind of targeted because of that.
Yes, I feel I
Okay.
still
And
am.
that's something that's still going on. I mean that's not only just the legal case. That's a problem that's been happening for like a while, right?
Yes, my entire
If I
life,
recall
basically.
like that. Okay. Um, was that I mean, was it just because of being blue eyed? Was it other reasons that they want to target you specifically? Like, there's a lot of blue eyed people in the world, so like,
I don't know.
okay. I think you had mentioned like you had knowledge of like we talked a lot about Texas last time, right? Or
Oh,
am I
yeah.
confusing?
Yeah,
Okay.
that the I can't remember who it was. One of the prosecutors, one of the attorneys in the courthouse, basically said that I'm always going to be prosecuted to show support for the Uvalde school shooter.
Yeah, it was Uvalde. That's what it was. I was telling you, I was like, I swear we talked about like Texas and
Yes, Robb
some other
Elementary
like
School, Uvalde.
nationalities. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that was another part of your sort of your concern here. Like the cop kind of set you up to begin with, and now the prosecutor is trying to get at you because of the Uvalde shooting.
Yep.
Okay. 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 And then so what? And what was that about again? Like, so was they? was the prosecutor supporting the Uvalde shooting?
Yes.
Did they think that you supported the Uvalde? Oh,
No,
okay.
I
So
do not
the
support.
prosecutor. Good idea. Is the judge aware of this? Or
Yes.
does he have a chance to? Oh. And the judge is letting it happen? Or does the judge seem like
the judge called me a blue-eyed nigger and just totally let it fly.
Gotcha. Yeah, so they're pretty much all in on it at this point. Is your lawyer like?
He just blows it off like it's nothing. He basically says that how do I put this? He says that like the charge I'm being charged with is this one little incident. I'm like, no, the incident is here. You know, I showed up, they started attacking me, they flashed their gun on me. And he's like, well, you don't have that on the body camera footage. You don't have that on your anything else. And I was like, what was on my live stream? And he's like, well, that video got taken down. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, basically, he even asked the judge, what is due diligence? So I felt like he was like really sitting on his ass, not doing much, just sitting there doing nothing. And to blatantly even ask what's due diligence when I mentioned due diligence.
Yeah. They kind of, I mean, it sounds to me like your lawyer isn't straight up working against you, but it sounds like he's not doing enough to help you. Is that kind of?
At the very least, that. Sometimes I feel he is. I feel he is kind of working against me. You know, I feel that he could bringing up issues and filing motions that could really support me, and he's not. I've even mentioned that certain things need to be brought up to the judge, just in case post conviction relief for an appeal, and he just looked at me and he's like, "Well, I don't care." He even said that. So.
Damn. I mean, so does he ever try to explain it more? Like, does he tell you, like, here's why I don't think it's relevant for this case? Or
he does on occasion, but it's really like bullshit, because for a couple months there, the prosecutors and those other attorneys were like, yeah, fuck you, ha ha ha. We're gonna fuck you over just to show our support for Uvalde. And then when I was bringing it up, he's like, oh, well, that has nothing to do with this case. I was like, well, they do if they say that to me. And I keep bringing it up. I was like, well, what about the fact that these people attacked me? And he's like, oh, well, the prosecutor has the burden of proof. And I was like, don't play me with that bullshit. I've heard that before. That just basically means you're going to sit there and do nothing and say, oh, as long as they do their burden of proof. And I'm saying, no, present evidence that negates their burden of they're trying to negate the burden of proof. And he's like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. He gives me the runaround.
Gotcha. And so, I could guess based on our conversation, but for the sake of this, like, what would be the evidence that you would want to make sure is presented in court that would negate their evidence? Like, specifically, what would you want to bring up if you were entirely in charge of this?
Oh, dude, well, I don't have much evidence, because they let it just drag out. I wanted the security camera footage outside that showed them attacking me and flashing a gun at me, know? I wanted the live stream footage, but that was taken down. So I don't actually have any evidence. They have a body camera footage and some video. The video shows me being attacked and then me grabbing my pocket knife and holding it out to here. The body camera shows late, because the dude kept running back and forth, hoping the fight would pop off.
I see. Yeah, it comes back to what you said before. The cop didn't really get involved until he saw you pull the knife and then was like, cool, now I can get it.
Yeah, well, technically he was involved encouraging violence against my life due to my eye color.
Right.
And, yeah.
Okay. So also, if I remember right, you talked to me because we Right now, you said you're working as like a canvasser, and you lost that job. No, then that's that. But before that, you've been doing work like computers and like some government like agencies and such. Is that right?
I graduated from a cybersecurity school that was ran by Cyber Command,
Right.
Secure Set Cyber Academy. I'm looking for a job. I believe at that time I was also doing canvassing. I've been doing different canvassing jobs off and on.
Okay. If I recall right, you were saying how, like, if anything, some of the work you've done for the government should help with like this case and like qualified immunity, that kind of thing. Okay.
I brought that up to my lawyer, and my lawyer's like, well, if you can bring it up and prove it. I was like, well, it's your job to do the due diligence. And when I brought it up to the judge said that's correct. And then the lawyer said he's not going to go with that defense strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So right there, so the lawyer can say that's not his defense strategy, and the judge says, oh, well, your lawyer gets to choose whatever defense strategy he wants. And I was like, not if it's not effective assistance of counsel. And the judge says that's correct.
Okay. So you've brought up the fact that at least arguably you should get qualified immunity.
Yes.
And was the lawyer suggesting that he didn't think that would work? Like you couldn't prove it?
No, he just didn't care. He just did not care. Like when I told him, I was like, well, it's your job to contact these places, you know? And he's like, well, that's not my defense strategy. So if there's anything that a lawyer doesn't want to do, they already know they can just say, that's not my defense strategy. All right.
Okay.
And so I have to bring it up to the judge. Then ultimately I'll probably have to get the lawyer fired and say, hey, I am not acceptable with his service. He is not doing a proper defense strategy with effective assistance of counsel and due diligence.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't disagree with that, you know, the lawyer should be doing at least some of that work, but like, are you able to call these facilities or like to get the proof yourself?
Okay. So, I've left messages. I got no callbacks. I once called and spoke to somebody asking who I could call to or if I could leave a message, and the dude just hung up on me.
Okay.
So a couple weeks ago, about a month ago, I was interrogated by the FBI.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a school shooting at Denver East High School while I was asleep, and then about an hour and a half, 2 hours later, I was woken up by the FBI knocking on my door, asking me if I work for the Russian mercenary group Wagner, if I'm recruiting for Wagner, how long I worked for them, and where's my Wagner uniform.
Gotcha.
A whole bunch of false reports that I'm recruiting for them and that I have a Wagner uniform. People deep fake some Photoshop pictures of me in a Wagner uniform. And they said that they believe that the kid who shot his principal and vice principal did it because I recruited him for Wagner Group.
That's it.
Yeah.
Damn.
So, yeah,
wow.
I contacted my lawyer through a text message and a phone call. I got a response through a text message. I contacted my pretrial release officer, supervisor release officer, and I spoke with her about it. You know, I haven't had really any contact with the lawyer. I spoke to the competency restoration class lady, Brooke. And so during that, I asked them, I was like, well, how would I get any proof of my service to the Constitution? And they're like, well, we're not here to answer that question. And one dude was like, well, why don't you call these people? And I was like, well, I did. And he's like, well, why don't you just keep showing up in person like you've been doing? And I was like, you know about that? And he's like, yeah, we know about that. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? And they're like, well, do whatever you can. I was like, all right, whatever. And so,
it was the comp restoration people who knew about you going in person somewhere.
No, it was the FBI.
Oh, the FBI.
The FBI who was interrogating me knew about me sending all the letters and the phone calls and going to various government offices saying, hey, how do I get a proof of this record? And them all giving me the runaround.
And so this happened quite recently, right? You said this was a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
The FBI was last month.
Last month, okay.
Yes.
I mean, I assume since I'm talking to you now, they eventually accepted what you said and then left?
Yes.
Okay. Good. Other than the classes, do the court want to do anything else? Like, are they trying to give you like medications or anything like that?
No.
No.
I made an appointment with I think it's called Wellpower, the people who do my
Mm-hmm.
competency restoration for
Mm-hmm.
employment stuff. And then when I was talking to the lady yesterday, she's like, "Oh yeah, so if you want to come down and see about getting meds," and I was like, "No, it's supposed to be about employment." And they're like, "Oh, well, in our thing, it's about you coming getting some medication." And I was like, "I don't need medication, you know."
Okay.
And I haven't had any contact with any of the doctors long enough to where I think there's even a repertoire for a prescription of medication.
Yeah. Okay. It is again, I don't know these things intimately. It is typical for comp restoration stuff to often involve medication, but I get that, but that would require, someone talking with you and prescribing that. Like I can't and don't do that. I'm a psychologist, so that's interesting though. Okay. Have you ever been on medication like for mental health purposes?
Once in 2005 for about 3 weeks.
What was that for? Depression?
I was diagnosed with a whole bunch of shit by talking to some doctor for like an hour because of the public defender trying to pull some bullshit. And he sent me to a doctor that he normally sends people to, so that way they get a whole bunch of diagnoses. So that way he can basically make his job easier by saying, "Oh, these people have mental health issues."
I see. Okay.
And I was prescribed Respiridol, and I think it was 1 milligram once per day.
Got it. And then were you, because if I recall right, you have had to go through this comp restoration stuff before, like in this case even, like just last year?
Yes.
Okay. Did they give you any medications then or that you were
No.
taking? No? Okay. Do you regularly use any kind of substances, methamphetamine?
No.
All
Oh,
that type of
no.
stuff?
I started smoking weed again for 420, just because I live here and that's it. But I stopped.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Since we last talked in particular, any medical concerns that have popped up, head injuries, serious illnesses or surgeries, that type of stuff?
No, I still do my hand exercises. Got to do those every day. Still trying to, eat healthy, do a healthy diet, all that good stuff.
Do you find yourself hearing and seeing things other people don't?
No.
Have you been having any difficulty recently with depression, anxiety, that type of stuff?
Not really.
Okay. I mean, this whole situation is stressful, so I'm sure you haven't been having a good time, but yeah. I've asked everybody, any thoughts lately of wanting to harm yourself or kill yourself?
Nope, no thoughts of harming myself, no thoughts of harming others.
You got it. Yeah, I'm sure you've got to be asked these questions a lot. So. Okay. How's your sleep at night? You sleep okay?
Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not, especially when it's hot out. I've been doing what I can to wake up early and go to bed earlier. So that way, I wake up and I go jog. So I go jog my 1.4 miles. With the warmer weather, I go to the river and I hop in, pick up trash. Not really swim because it's not really deep enough. But try and do what I can to sleep early.
Okay. Find yourself having like nightmares or flashbacks where you wake up at night, that type of stuff?
There have been a couple.
Okay. Is that like a regular problem, or is that
No.
just kind of okay? Do you have any difficulties with like anger management, controlling your behavior?
No. I keep to myself, and I'm at home a lot recently because I don't have the money to go out.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a stable job. You know, if I had the stable job, it'd probably be different. I'd probably be out there more, especially with the warmer weather.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, honestly, that's just pretty much the extent of what I need to check in with you about. Well, kind of a long thing. I can take a bunch of your time. Do you feel like there's anything important that we haven't like touched on or something like that that you know?
Oh, I have no idea. You know, I could be blank right now, and as soon as we hang up, I'd think of 1,000 things. You know, the way I'm looking at it is, I think about halfway through the competency restoration workbook.
Yeah.
I have another court date coming up, so my guess is there'd probably be a continuance to complete the restoration classes, and then another competency evaluation with you. From there, I'm just looking for a legit job and going from there. Yeah, you know, I'll be honest, like watching the news gets me depressed with all these active shooting stuff.
Yeah,
And sometimes I have conversations like, well, I don't consider them conversations. Calling them conversations is being polite about it. I get accused of shit like that, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so check this out. I know this may sound crazy. When I was at the school, some of the people who worked at the school, Secure Set Cyber Academy, were also in the military. They'd go out and shoot and whatever. One day, one dude, I can't remember his name, he brings in his AR-15 with him because they're going out and shooting, all right? And it was in a case, okay? He just didn't want to leave it in his vehicle. So he puts it next to his desk in his office, and his coworker in the same office decides to be a piece of shit, takes it out of the case, and leaves it in the hallway, just against the wall. So I go in, and I'm there, and I look, I'm like, hey, Scott, what's up? And he's like, hey, Kenneth. And I walk by, I'm like, holy shit, there's an assault rifle right there, Scott. And Scott's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I walk over, and I grab an assault rifle. And Scott's like, holy fuck, Kenneth, where the fuck you get that? And I was like, dude, I just walked through the fucking door. What the fuck is this? And Scott's like, I've been here for an hour, Kenneth. I have no idea how that got there. It wasn't until later on we found out exactly how it got there. But I was like, hey, Scott. I was like, I don't trust nobody. So check this out. So I showed it to him. I was like, here, I put the safety on. I removed the magazine, and I opened it up, and I removed the firing pin. I was like, dude, take this firing pin and just flush it in the toilet. I have no idea what motherfucker brought a fucking assault rifle in here. It was an AR-15. And I have no idea who the fuck left it on the just leaning against the hallway next to the bathroom. So Scott goes, flushes it. We go walk around to the school to find out who the fuck did this. And it's all adults. Half the people who attend are former military or currently National Guard, whatever. So this becomes like a big conversation for just like one day until they find out that it was one of the administration. He didn't want to leave it in his vehicle. He put it in the office in a case, and then his dude in the same office decided to be a bitch and do that. You know? And the thing is, you know, right there when I was talking to other people, I was like, if I wanted to be a piece of shit, I could have done it right then and there. But I chose not to. And when people accuse me of that type of stuff, it's really aggravating and even depressing that, you know, I have no history of committing acts like that. And some people will say, oh, well, felony menacing with a weapon is violent. And I was like, I'm not running around chasing people with a weapon. I'm being circled, attacked. People are flashing guns at me and spitting on me, calling me names. And then I just grab a weapon in my self-defense.
Totally.
So, like when I see all this stuff on the news, and then when there's like prosecutors who are trying to compare that stuff with me, saying that I need to have the book thrown at me based upon something that's going on that has nothing to do with me, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's anxiety,
Yeah.
PTSD invoking.
Yeah. So that makes complete sense. Okay. Okay. Well, again, I do appreciate you meeting with me again. For what it's worth, I think, like you said, they'll probably expect you to continue doing the classes or whatever and all that. I am not your treatment provider, so purely take this as just some advice from a health professional. If those well-empowered people were suggesting that maybe like some medications were something, it might be at least worth figuring out what that's about and like talking with a doctor. Maybe, I mean, hell, maybe the court would like to, see that like, okay, you're taking like, medications for any mental health concerns. Like it could be helpful. But again, I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm a psychologist. These are the types of things I do. But up to you, of course.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there anything you need from me?
No, I think we're all good for today. I just appreciate you meeting with me. Seriously.
Awesome. Well, thank you, and you have a beautiful week.
Yep. Yeah, you too. Good luck with
Peace.
everything. Bye.
Well, that competency evaluation lasted a half hour. I was expecting it to last an hour and a half. Here we are, and yeah, it's 5:30. I have to go juice a whole bunch of stuff. I have some vegetables, and some fruit. Yeah, grapefruit and apples that I have to juice before they go old. So I don't want them to go bad, so I'm going to juice them. But everybody in YouTube land, stay warm if you need to stay warm. Stay healthy, stay happy, stay safe, stay sober if you're choosing sobriety, because I had some weed today, so I'm not completely sober today. But yep, tomorrow I should be completely sober and going that route for a minute. Alrighty. Peace. Peace. Love you. And broadcast click. And broadcast click.